back from executive session, no action taken. County Clerk Courtney Gilbert up next.
So what part of the election process do you want me to start?
Whatever you want to talk about. I just asked if you wanted to do that, so.
Okay, I didn't know if there was a specific place you wanted me to start. So there have been some questions about if people can see how someone has voted. So I'll say, no, there is no way that someone can see how you have voted. So what we do when you check in on that poll pad, when you go to vote, that's just going to, when the data gets converted from that poll pad to our database, it's going to give you voter history. So it's just going to show that you voted. It's not going to show you how you voted, anything like that. It's going to show you whether you voted by mail, in person, or at your advance or by your polling place. So that's all we can see. So everyone does have a right to a secret ballot. And so I just want to make that very clear. Mail ballots that get mailed back to our office are opened by a hired board of bipartisan election workers. So those aren't opened by our office at all. And on election night, that board is across the hall in the conference room, and they just unseal and run those through the tabulator. So we don't have any part of that either. And what I would like to say is, for those that don't know about how we get results from the polling places specifically, is that machine at the exit where you put your ballot in. It's called a DS200, and it has a very fancy, expensive thumb drive in it, and it cannot be inserted into like a regular computer. It won't show them anything. It's very specific to the election software, and our supervising judges are responsible for closing down that machine at the end of the night, running the tapes, and then securing that thumb drive. And then that thumb drive comes back to our office, and it comes straight from our hands out from that container straight to our hired on-site support, which is through ES&S, which is our election company software. So that site support person who's not employed by the county is the only one that's taking that thumb drive and putting it into the software and tabulating results from those polling places. He will also tabulate results from the mail ballots, from advance in person, all that stuff. So he's the only one that's tabulating results. The only time that we physically take the stick and run a result is provisional, and that's after the canvas, after you guys do the canvas. So that's why sometimes results are dependent, how quick can we get results loaded to the website are dependent on how busy our polling places were and how quick they can get that thumb drive back to us. Because they'll designate 2 board workers of multi-parties to transport that drive back to us while the rest of the crew is cleaning up the polling place. Mm-hmm. So that's how that works. And I would like to point out the new viewing room that we have in the clerk and election office up here. It will be up and running for election night. We've already moved most of our stuff in there, and our site support will be in there, and you can see him from the window, and you can watch him put those sticks in and tabulate those results. So we're pretty excited about that. Our lobby is a little small, but people can take turns if there's a big crowd.
Yeah.
But we do welcome anyone to come because it's a very interesting process. So any other questions that you want to ask?
No, even at a national level, there's questions. And so I just wanted to give you an opportunity to come in and explain that. So if anybody does reach out again to me, I will point them to this. And
yeah, I get it. There's always a lot of conspiracy theories out there too.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah, not just
here. Just anywhere.
It's everywhere. So yeah. I thought that, people need to understand, just because you're voting on a computer, it does not record what your vote is. So Thank you.
Yeah. And then Dana wants to go over some dates for you guys for the campus and whatever else.
So for the audit, we are looking at November 12th at 9 a.m. And then for the canvas would be November 15th at 9 a.m.
Canvas on what?
November 15th, which is a Friday.
Okay. I'll put it in the calendar right now. At 9 a.m.?
Yes.
Do you guys need me there?
I believe she is there, yes.
It will be probably longer. So
Yeah.
maybe bring some side work to do.
I'm
while you
sure,
wait.
I'm sure it will be there. I mean,
I'm just signed up for a CLE that day, that's all day in Wichita, for like a class, but I can see maybe, I don't know if there's a virtual.
well, we can always call you if we have any questions.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, I don't want you to miss a class.
Yeah, we could do that probably.
yeah, I can definitely leave if I need to.
You said the audit is the 12th.
Yes, at 9.
Advance voting starts tomorrow, 8:30 a.m.
Yes.
And we're gonna be using your room off and on for any kind of training or whatever, and review the dates that we're gonna,
October 28th and November 4th. You'll be at emergency
In
management.
here, yeah, and we'll be over.
Oh, emergency management.
For your meeting,
I hope
yes.
it's not cold, so you guys have to go back and forth.
oh, wake us up.
Yeah.
That's all I have unless you have anything else. Okay,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I did have something else. I forgot. I was supposed to tell you that on October 30th for Election Board Worker Training Day,
Uh-huh.
that my office would be closed from
Yeah,
11
Crystal
to
told
1.
us.
Okay, and I'll give adequate notice to
Okay.
the public.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very old is this idea about somehow diverting the noise from the hallway.
How would you do that? He said it's a second set of doors. How would
We
you do
talked
that?
So
about this,
if you created an entrance right here, just a small one, then you could have the outside doors closed and these inside ones open, so they would just walk through the closed ones and into the open ones. Like the outside ones that were closed, you could say commission meeting inside, and then the inside doors would be open.
So that would still be a public meeting? I mean, and we could keep the
I think
out
if you
ones
had a
closed?
sign there that told them inside,
Commission meeting in here, yeah.
but I don't know, you might have to check that out to make sure, but
on the-
Well, actually, it'd probably be, I would think, going outward, like glass.
Yep.
And
so that
then
people could see the,
and those would be closed, and this door right here would be open. So then they'd have to walk through like a glass door where it's closed off, but you could walk through the glass door and then come in, yeah.
That's what we talked about that during COVID
Yes, yeah.
and putting glass door out there in the hallway.
because you could have glass like the ones on my door over there, so that they could just cut those, a panel with, put a piece of glass in, which is what they did over there. So that you could actually see in.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes like you have those rolling things, it gets really loud, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
voting.
Well,
It's gonna be
Well,
really
yeah,
loud during
when
voting.
advanced voting starts, because you got people standing in line and, oh, they just want to talk.
Mhm.
And it's just,
well, and you can hear little kids.
clear down the other end.
Clear
The
down
hallway
the other end.
really echoes,
Are we waiting till 12 for the public
No,
comment?
you can,
Provide information?
yes.
Okay, Tammy Robinson, Finance Director back. I have some information about the S&P rating. So if you recall, we had an S&P rating when we took out the hospital bond in 2022. And one of the things S&P did was revamp their whole criteria on how they rate governmental entities. So they did reach out to Geary County along with several other entities that they have to let us know that we were under criteria observation, UCO, which means that based on where they set us before, which was exactly where we had been, and all the factors that I had told them we were working on and we were putting into place, they are going to come back to us and see what we've done and whether it seems sustainable and the factors behind that to determine whether our rating will stay the same, if it would go down a little bit or even possibly go up a little bit. So they're looking at the institutional framework. Some of the things they consider is transparency and accountability in our governmental entity. And that's not just us being and doing the things we're doing in here, but it's also, do we have our audits available? Do we have our budgets available? You know, can a reasonable person see that we don't have findings on our audit and things that to that nature? And then as well, they look at revenue and expense balance to determine whether our revenue is equaling our expenditures, or do we have really high revenue and really low expenditures, or really high expenditures that our revenue is not supporting. So that they are looking at all those things. They have 5 different factors. They have economy, financial performance, reserves and liquidity, management, and debt and liabilities. And each one of those get a 20% of what our rating overall becomes. And so I actually watched a webinar on this, and on the economy side, I do want to reach out to our economic development director and see if she can give me some pertinent information on things that have changed within Geary County since 22, which would have been our last rating, so that I can present that information to him. On financial performance, I feel like we will be rated stronger than before, because if you look at our audits and our cash, even our reserves and our liquidity, it's much higher than it was before. So those will all be plus factors for us. Management is going to be, you know, do we have financial policies in place, and are we following financial policies in place? And so we don't have the actual document in place yet. It's with our legal counsel, and so I could provide them the rough draft of what we're looking at as far as what we're going under, should they contact me and want to meet in a week or whatever. So those are all, again, pluses on our side, because we didn't have those at all prior. So working towards those will be a plus on our side. And then our debt and liability, we're required to do a continuing disclosure every year, which we work with Gilmore and Bell. When we put that document together, it's out on an Emma website, which is anybody who is looking at bond ratings and what kind of debt entities have. That information is available. So one of the things it looks at is, what's your debt per capita? What are your liabilities in relationship to your fund balance or your liquidity? And so when it's looking at those things, I also have done the numbers on those, and we're in good shape. We don't have the very best rating, because they rate you from a 1 to 6, but we're between a 2 and 3. And so a 2 and 3 is really good. They don't look at your overall debt for the entire county, because if they did, we would probably get a ding on that if we had to include the city and the school's debt with us. They're only looking at ours. And so that was one of the things I was glad to see in our rating, because again, I think that will be a plus for us as well. So I'm looking forward to the conversation again and letting them see, because these were all things that I talked to them about, of what we were doing and what we were working towards. And so I'm excited that they'll be able to see that we've done almost everything on that list from what we had expected to do since we put that bond in place, including paying off the no fund warrants. We defeased that hospital debt, and we also paid off the jail debt. So those are all, again, pluses on our side.
Can you explain that, what our bond rating, how it affects us?
So our bond rating, I mean, if we have a good rating, we're more apt to have a better interest rate, more people interested in buying our bonds. So it is very important, especially because we know we have something that we're going to have to do with the jail. So the better rating we have, the better off we'll be in getting debt funded.
Well, we also paid off convention center.
Right, that convention
That was
center
on
bond
the
was.
city. It was the city.
It was, but it still showed up on
our
our,
thing, yeah.
if you look at our audit report, it was a liability that we had.
Yeah.
But the no fund warrants are a ding on us, and so having those done and paid off is good,
It's good,
because
yes.
you don't want no fund warrants
That's
if you
on
can avoid it. That's not something that you want to operate on, because that says that we don't have enough capital to operate. And so having those done and nothing that we need to deal with on the horizon for those is good.
Yeah.
Plus, if you look at our fund balances are very strong. Especially when you're looking at the general fund, because that's the operating fund is going to be the one they look at the most closely. Us putting a fund reserve in place and having $2 million for our 2025 budget is very favorable. We also have reserves in the capital improvement plan, and they'll look at that as well. We have reserves in our debt service fund that is helping to pay off some of our bond, which again is all favorable. Putting an investment policy in place, another thing it talked about was your investments. So having that investment structure in place and working with, stable interest income will be strong for us in looking at this. So I'm very hopeful that we should be able to at least stay where we are. And I'm actually hopeful that there's potential that we could have a better rating coming out of this. So.
Yes, I hope so.
I will keep you posted. I did respond back last night and gave her my schedule of when I was available, and to just let me know what she needed to have available for her in the discussion, and we'll work through that. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
Hello, Mr. Walker. Are you here for public comment?
Yes,
Okay.
because I couldn't get on the schedule. You were pretty full evidently.
Yeah.
I was gone for a couple of weeks, and when I got back, I read the article in the paper where Troy did call me, and he said that he was going to talk to the county a little bit about, or the commissions about the quarry situation. And I asked him, do I need to be there? Somebody need to be there? And he said, oh, no, we're just going to talk about it a little bit. Well, when I read this article in the paper, I thought, wow, that this isn't anything like what I had proposed. So what I'd like to do today is maybe get back on the agenda, get back to where we can discuss this proposition again. And it seems like there was a lot of innuendos, and I'm sorry that Alex isn't here, because he was making comments too on the proposal, and he wasn't even here. And so, my purpose, my goal is to give the county a guaranteed supply of road rock at a price that's probably less than what you're going to pay if you purchase it on the open market. And the second thing was, this wasn't going to be, it's not intended to be a public quarry, a commercial quarry. It will be set up for the county's use only. And that would be the way we would get it zoned. I mean, we would still have to go through zoning, and we would zone it for county use only and no commercial use. And all the material that's produced on there stays on there for county use, or there's one little innuendo that the landowner is a farmer and he uses ag lime, and the county doesn't use ag lime, and so part of his royalty would be the ag lime. So other than that, there wouldn't be any commercial use of that quarry at all. And that's the way it would be zoned, and that's what it's, as far as obligating future commissioners or commissions, this quarry would be by contract. In other words, what we would like to see is a 50,000 ton minimum. And I don't know, I think you use half that much every year, something like that. And it wouldn't obligate you to only use this material. You could save it and use it next year or whatever. But we would like to like if it was a 2-year supply, get paid 1 year when we produced it and another year after we produced it. But that would be the only obligation for the county. If the county decided that they didn't like this situation, there's no obligation to continue. And what it would do is we would have to go back in, reclaim it, and put it back like we would any quarry that we finished. There's approximately 1.5 million tons of material that could be used out of that site. And I think it's a pretty good site for the county. It's kind of in the middle of some of the areas that use the most rock. But as far as trying to use it for a commercial quarry, if say you didn't, in 2 years you decided you didn't want to do that anymore, I would have to go back into the zoning and get it changed to commercial quarry, because it would only be zoned for county use only, no commercial. And I really think that you could save, in just that 2-year period, as much as $100,000. Because right now you're paying $17.35 for, at least at the quarry that I'm familiar with. And I know it'll be much less than that, because you don't have to have a loader there. You don't have to have a scale person, loader operator. It's just, it's your material. You get it when you want to. I know right now you buy material, haul it out to Grandview Plaza lot, pile it up, and then use it whenever. Well, this site would give you the opportunity to not have to move it twice. You basically buy it and use it wherever you want to. You don't have to move it twice. So I just wanted to maybe clarify what evidently I didn't do last time because of the comments in the paper. And so what I'd basically like to do is get back on the agenda at some future time, so we could discuss the details of how much, when you pay for it, and that it would be only a county zone quarry. And I've done it before. Back in 1969, I did that.
And we talked about that, and our issue is us being going into business with a private entity. Back then, they didn't have procurement and financial policies that we have in place now. And us doing that and going direct with you, and that was the issue, was it's not following our financial policies as far as how we do business. And I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly or not, Betsy, if you could help out a little.
Well, generally, there's a public bid process.
Yeah.
So, there could be a request for proposals or a public bid process where, we pick based on the proposal or the bid, the best one. So I guess if the county wanted to put it out to bid, to see if anyone wanted to become a sole source provider,
So you're saying hypothetically, it wouldn't necessarily be this particular area. It could be somewhere else in the county. Somebody could bid to open up a quarry somewhere else.
well, I think it would just be a bid for the rock and what you could provide rock at,
Well, my proposal would not limit you to this site only. You can still buy from whoever you want to. All this would do would be guaranteeing you a supply like you didn't have last winter. And as far as, restricting purchase from anywhere else, it doesn't do that. Now I'm not going to, I've got at least, I'm not going to let another operator, bid on it out of that quarry.
mean, it'd almost be better if it was a guaranteed. I mean, just from our procurement code that we're gonna, you're our contractor for fiscal year 2025 or 26. That you're our provider for a set rate. I mean, I think that would be cleaner.
But I mean, it wouldn't limit you to purchase from other people. I think that the county would be in a better position by having the material sitting there that maybe half of it's already paid for, that is going to be less money, especially in 2 years. I imagine it will be even more, even a better price. I mean, I know right now what you're paying, and I think you can save $100,000 in 2 years. I mean, that's just, and I think, I basically waited until you got your negotiation with the city done before I came, because I knew it was up in the air about how much you were gonna pay and whatever. But I feel like this is a good deal for the county. It's a good deal for the taxpayers in the county. And I think if you have an opportunity to save $100,000, it'd behoove you to look into it anyway. Rather, it was just, I kind of got the feeling I got blown off in this article, and I don't know who wrote it, but it seemed
We weren't
strange that you
interviewed,
would.
they were just taking it off of we weren't interviewed, they were just taking it off of the conversation that we were having that day.
Or probably the minutes, but whatever, I would say, I think, and looking into how this would work or how it would benefit the county, I think is worthwhile. I don't know any place else you can look at one item on the budget and save $100,000, So, anyway, what I would like to get from this is at least another opportunity to talk to the commission about the advantages of having this kind of an arrangement and how it doesn't obligate your future commissions at all. I mean, if you buy a 2-year supply and 2 years from now you think, this isn't working, or we don't like this, it's over, and I can't make a commercial quarry out of it because it'll be zoned for county use only. And so, some of the things that were in the paper, about, I'm trying to work my way into a commercial quarry, by starting it with the county, that's not.
There were people here that were saying, there was public here and they're worried about it.
Yeah.
The same ones that were worried about the first time, so.
Sure. I mean, I understand that.
Yeah.
And that's why I said we would limit it to county use only. So, I mean, I'm probably too old to be starting a commercial quarry anyway. But anyway, I just wanted to get back with you after I read the article to try to get you to rethink, or at least open a discussion back up so that we could get everything on the right plane. Because the way the paper was, it was way off.
Okay,
All right.
all right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Is Travis coming in for the next?
I think he's supposed to.
Yes.
There he is, right on cue.
Right on time.
Did your ears burn, anybody?
What's that?
Did your ears burn?
Oh. Should they have been?
Just asked if you were coming in.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, do I hear a motion to go into executive session, reference legal matters pertaining to Red Fish? 15 minutes, including the appraiser, finance, and legal.
So moved.
Did you say something? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
How long?
15 minutes.
Okay.